And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day committed to being your consumer advocate. It's all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you just a bit more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We're going to help you win, understanding your different buying decisions out there. That's the goal of the show, your consumer advocate program right here, the Consumer Quarterback Show. Now, we'd love to engage with you. Reach out on our hotline. You can call or text at 813-670-7372. That's our consumer advocate hotline. Call or text that line. It's an off-air number, and we're going to make sure we help you win. 813-670-7372.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, we got a great lineup for you today on the show. We got Doug Levi. He's the insurance quarterback, a.k.a. the insurance quarterback, strategic insurance. We're going to talk about things happening in the flood space. We're going to talk about sinkholes as well as some of the different things happening with business owners, with business law and finance there. Also, attorney Millie Athanason is going to be back on the show. Now, she is a wealth of knowledge around personal injury, family law, but we're going to talk more about estate planning and wills and trust today with Millie on the show, and some of the misconceptions that people have, and maybe some ways to kind of start that conversation if you have a loved one, a family member that maybe older and kind of in that third or fourth quarter of their lives, they got to start thinking about advanced medical directives, wills, trust, estate plans. Have that documentation in place. And a big shout out to the BELLEAIR Beach Resort. The official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show is the BELLEAIR Beach Resort, Treasure Island over in Pinellas County. I love taking my family down, enjoying some downtime over on the beach. And they've got 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Restaurant, a huge beach, and a lovely opportunity to enjoy the best that South Florida has to offer here, Tampa Bay, right here with the BELLEAIR Beach Resort. And it's a great getaway over in Treasure Island. And we also have our feel-good story of the day coming up. 2 young heroes saved man from a burning home. This is a really cool story out of Marion, Indiana. 2 young heroes coming in and saving a gentleman. You'll find out about that in our feel-good story of the day. So, hey, a great show lined up for you. Make sure you save our hotline. Connect with us online. We would love to connect with you on social media, Instagram, at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter, and the Consumer Quarterback Show pages out there on Facebook. We also have the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. You can connect with us as well on our Facebook page there, and check out our website, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available for you at consumerqb.com. for the Consumer Quarterback Show. And if you want to search real estate or list your properties, check out platinummvpteam.kw.com. platinummvpteam.kw.com. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll be right back with Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance, with a flood update and all things insurance here on the Consumer Quarterback Show.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, also a top 1% real estate team here in Tampa Bay, ranked in the top 1% of all realtors in the area. We'd love to help you buying, selling, or investing. We also promote our real estate properties live on air on our syndicated radio and TV program that airs in 85 different outlets. 212 Bunker Hill is a property that we've got listed in Dunedin. New roof. We got Chuck Peterson, Suncoast Roofing, put a brand new roof on this property. We are back on the market. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in Tampa Bay. Dunedin is a lovely community town, right on the way to Honeymoon Island, and some great boating and all types of great outdoor sports. Check out 212 Bunker Hill Lane right here in Tampa Bay. Beautiful property, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nice, clean, owner motivated, ready to move property here in Tampa Bay. 422 Wildwood Way in BELLEAIR. This is a listing that I've got. Beautiful 2-story home in BELLEAIR, which is one of the best little towns in Tampa Bay. You've got golf courses, pro style golf courses around you, the beaches, and this property has over $100,000 of recent updates and renovations. Also a brand new roof on this home. Check out all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. That's platinummvpteam.kw.com. I tell you, I got to give a shout out to Golf Cart Depot, man. What a fun time to have golf cart at your home. We had a celebration over the 4th of July Independence Day holiday, and the kids were just putting 100,000 miles on that golf cart during the weekend. We use it for work as well, running around showing properties on our golf carts. And Golf Cart Depot right here in Tampa Bay. Support your local economy, golfcartdepot.com. Your local economy right here, Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman. They've got Icon electric vehicles as well, pre-owned and remanufactured right here in Tampa Bay. Land O'Lakes location, Clearwater location. Say hello to our friends at Golf Cart Depot. And Marty is the owner. Give him a call. Talk to him directly. Let him know you heard about him right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Tons of fun and a great time on Golf Cart Depot. Let him know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got a great lineup here today. We got Doug Levi joining us, Strategic Insurance, and the insurance quarterback that is Doug Levi. Welcome back.
Brandon, always good to be here. Always good to be here and share what's going on in the marketplace. Again, we got a lot of good stuff going on, starting to see the economy come back. I know we just talked before things aired that about 7 million jobs have been added in the last few months. So we're seeing a lot of interest from our restaurant friends and helping them with their insurance needs. And then the other big thing that we're always talking about during this time of year is getting people ready for hurricane season.
That's right. Yeah, hurricane season's right around the corner. What do you think are your top tips in terms of hurricane preparedness?
Yeah, so hurricane preparedness, we really try and break that down in a few ways. We try and break down and talk about things that not necessarily really deals with your insurance, right? Just good things to protect your family, your home, things like having 3 to 5 days of food and water, great time to check your flashlights. Do you have batteries? Do you have an evacuation plan? If you had to evacuate, where would you go? What would you do? Pets, relatives, neighbors, or elderly folks that you may be in care of, all those sorts of things. There's a ton of resources online. I mean, you don't have to do much more than Google hurricane planning, and you'll see a ton of stuff. But those are some very basic ones that we just say, hey, it's always a good idea this time of year, kind of get your home in order, no pun intended. And then on the insurance end, it's things like looking at, okay, well, do I have flood insurance? I have flood insurance if I shop to make sure I'm getting the best rates. And if I don't have flood insurance, we recommend it. So here's an interesting fact, Brandon. About 30% of all the floods that occur in quote-unquote low-risk flood zones. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you may be in an area here, you may be in Palm Harbor somewhere, and say, oh, I'm not in a flood zone. Well, I'll push back a little bit, and I kind of joke, we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. We're flat as a pancake, and we face more hurricanes than any other state in the country. So just because the bank doesn't say you got to have flood insurance doesn't mean it's still not a good idea to protect what's likely your biggest asset. And you can do what's called preferred rate flood insurance or preferred risk flood insurance, and it goes anywhere from maybe $200 and maxes out about $500 a year to get coverage for your home and your content. So that's another one, a big one, just to kind of raise awareness of. There may be, I guarantee you, there's probably a lot of listeners out there right now like, oh yeah, I don't need flood insurance, I'm not in a flood zone. Well, again, just because you're not in a quote unquote flood zone doesn't mean a flood can't happen. And in fact, again, 30% of all the floods occur in these areas. So that's another big one just to bring in front of people's minds right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Doug Levi here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. InsuranceSideHustling.com is another area of his business. A lot of people, Doug, right now, the jobs are coming back, as we mentioned. A lot of the jobs are coming back, and a lot of the folks that got displaced, pushed out of their jobs, they had to shut down their businesses. They might be looking for side income. So you've got this side hustling opportunity.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this. Again, we were featured in Florida Trend Magazine, Yahoo Finance, Market Watch. Several of them picked up a press release about what we're doing, calling our idea a game changer. And really, we're just showing people how to access one of the biggest industries really in the world and in the country, and that's the property and casualty insurance industry. And that's helping people with things like their homeowners and their auto insurance. These are things that everybody needs. Everybody's already budgeting for it. Very likely that everybody in studio, everybody on the airwaves right now, at the very least, if you've got a car, you've got car insurance. If you own a home, you have homeowners insurance. And so we show you how to get licensed. We help do all the support, a lot of the marketing. We do a lot of the training for you. You can do it part-time. You can do it remote. And our agency here is here to assist. So we've been having a lot of fun with that. Again, we've brought on about 65, 70 people so far through our program and have lots that are in licensing right now. And so, yeah, we're enjoying spreading an opportunity for a great industry that before has really just not been as accessible, right? It's not been something that, unless you were willing to make a full-time commitment and really make it your career, you couldn't access. So this is definitely something you can do as a side hustle. We're seeing a lot of interest from people that, maybe came from the restaurant space, people that were maybe doing Uber, making some decent side income that aren't getting those opportunities now. And so it's just one more way to fill the bank account for you a little bit and help a lot of people in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. And diversify as well. Other professionals in other industries, maybe diversify into that insurance as an insurance side hustle. Now, Doug, what about sinkholes? You hear sometimes too, when this rain season comes, it kind of washes out some of that. Talk to us a little about what's happening in that sinkhole space.
Sinkholes is a big one. So I've owned this agency for 14 years, been here in Clearwater this whole time. And I can tell you, Brandon, when I first got into the industry, if we go back 10 years, 15 years, certainly, sinkhole was just always covered, right? It was just like up there with fire, right? There's not a lot of people that probably in the back of their mind question, if I have a fire, am I going to be covered for that? We fast forward and we go, there was a lot of sinkhole fraud and sinkhole abuse that occurred. And so these were scenarios where people may have a crack in their sidewalk or their driveway. They file a claim against the insurance company. They say, my neighbor 5 doors down had a sinkhole. I believe I have a claim. And I'm not to say that some of these things aren't legitimate, but there was certainly some fraud that occurred. There's no doubt. And these claims cost really us all a ton of money.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, these insurance companies aren't stupid. And what they do is they're going to pass costs ultimately on to the end user or the customer, and or they're going to make changes. And in fact, it got so bad going back about 5 years ago, there were statutes and changes at the state level. So now traditionally, and this is important for people to know, traditionally, if you call me today and say, Doug, I want homeowners insurance, most policies, and again, we've got all the major markets out there. We've got over 25 carriers to review and shop for you. Almost all of them are going to exclude sinkhole. There are very few that will just upfront include sinkhole automatically for you. Okay. Now, there are some that will do on a case-by-case basis based on inspection, where you have to do and pay for a separate sinkhole inspection. And they'll do some geotechnical analysis and a few other things, and that's normally another $200 to $300. And I'll be honest, a lot of times when I've seen people that have even done that, a lot of times they get denied and the coverage doesn't get afforded. So It's a tricky situation. I mean, if it's something that someone really wants, like a lot of things, we almost always have a solution and can get it. Then the other thing becomes is how expensive is it, and is it cost effective? You know, we've got lots of friends up in the Pasco, Hernando County area, and that was really the sinkhole capital of Florida that got hit hardest, and does have a lot of legitimate sinkhole issues up in that area. And again, for those friends that are or listeners that are up in that area, or if it's a concern of yours, which I can understand, we can help you out. We can get the coverage, but again, it's going to cost. It's not inexpensive. I mean, on average, I would say if you're in a higher risk sinkhole area like a Pasco or Hernando, you can probably figure another $1,500 to $2,000 on top of your normal premium just to include sinkhole.
Wow.
And so that's tough because that's just priced a lot of people out of the market. So, but again, as anything, we just try to educate people, explain what you've got, what you don't have. Now, the good news, the state did require what's known as catastrophic ground collapse. That has to be covered. And so here's the idea with this, Brandon, is, you know, when you see those pictures on the news where the home's literally been swallowed, kind of fallen into the ground,
Yep.
that would be covered. And really probably the biggest part to look at, or one of the clearest ways to look at it, is if the county comes in and says this home is uninhabitable. In fact, that's one of the benchmarks the carrier has in their policy to say, well, is it catastrophic ground collapse? That would be covered. What's not covered, again, is, you know, okay, I've got some cracks in my drywall or some cracks in some of my other walls. Those things aren't.
Got it. Okay, good. Yeah, so we're getting an update from Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance, our expert contributor. Again, local area companies support the local economy right here in Tampa Bay with companies like this and our 85 other areas of consumer advocate content and advice right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And, you know, bookmark the website, consumerqb.com, and reach out. We'd love to connect with you, put you in touch with all of our expert contributors, over 50 plus show partners. And these are the best professionals in their area of expertise. And we're talking about insurance right now. Doug Levi here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Now, Doug, we also have a lot of real estate folks listening to the show, real estate based. You know, the fact the show used to be called the Real Estate Quarterback Show. What we do is we talk about real estate, and from a perspective of, you know, for example, we've got Jay Smith, A Snoop Inspection. Now, he can come out and do a wind mitigation and save homeowners money if they don't have that already in place with their insurance provider.
Huge. One of the biggest discounts people can get. It's a no-brainer. We recommend it to everyone. I tell people, look, even if you don't think you've got credits or an opportunity, talk to the inspector. And those guys are pretty straight shooters. A lot of times they'll be able to tell you right away, yes, you've got some credits or not. On average, we see discounts can be anywhere from 10 to 40%. And this is a specific an inspection that's done on the roof that looks at features of the roof. The basic concept is this. If I've got a newer roof and it's got good features that help mitigate or lower the damage that happens in high wind, the insurance company by law has to give me some level of a discount. That's actually written in the statutes again. So it is a real true consumer protection. Now, like a lot of things, unless you know, buyer beware, buyer be advised and all that, unless you go and do it and proactively either have a great realtor like yourself or mortgage professional or someone on the very front end start talking about these things, or an insurance advisor like myself, if you don't ask and get the inspection, the insurance company has no way to give you the discount, right? And they're not going to knock on your door, call you, you know, mail you and say, hey, by the way, we don't see one on file. So it's definitely one that that's big and that we recommend for everyone out there.
Yeah, so it's important to understand the different types of opportunities that are available for you and take advantage of them if it's there, especially when it's written into the law. I like that it's actually into the law. It's a consumer protection piece that the legislature put in place for us to protect us when it comes to real estate and insurance. There's so many different things to consider. And again, we're talking with Doug Levi here. Strategic Insurance is his company. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show here, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams. So, Doug, we've talked about, so with the COVID-19 shutdown, February to April, nearly 22.2 million jobs were lost. Over the past 2 months, 7.5 million, about 33.8% of those jobs has returned. So it seems like we're heading in the right direction. What's your read?
I think it's huge. You know, I love, we just celebrated Independence Day, and I still believe we're in the greatest country in the world, hands down. And a lot of that stems from the entrepreneurial spirit of our country. And it's just great to see the comeback, you know, that's going on. So, and I believe, and I'm an eternal optimist. I love Zig Ziglar's got a great line, Brandon. He said, I'd spend my last dollar on a money belt, right? So, you know, kind of being that if you got to think through that a little bit, but being that eternal optimist, yeah, I believe that we're going to continue to see strong growth. I will say, and again, trying to tie it really back to insurance and what's going on with all of this, and this is a big one. I haven't really talked about on this show before, but for your business owners that are listening out there, is definitely think through having some good, and we're certainly been bombarded and hearing a ton about it, having some good policies and procedures in place as you start to welcome employees back, right? In terms of, you know, okay, you know, you're going to require face masks at your office, yes or no, kind of the social distancing, making sure there's hand washing and sanitation stations, and at least raising the awareness of this. I mean, I think there's probably very few out there, unless you've been living under a rock, that don't know some of those basic things. But here's something to know and consider. And it's already started to happen, is you get an employee and they get COVID, and then they could potentially file against the workers' comp. Right? Okay. Now that becomes a very slippery slope. And I'm sure some of this will, who knows, it ultimately lands up in the courts a lot of times. But, you know, the idea is work comp is insurance to protect employees who get hurt on the job, right? You know, your classic scenario is, you know, you're a restaurateur and someone burns themselves. They clearly got hurt on the job. Well, there needs to be insurance to help that person with their medical bills, lost wages, et cetera. Well, what's happening now at some level is, what if someone says, I got sick, I got COVID on the job. Right. I caught it, quote unquote, at the office. Yep. Right. Kind of a tricky thing to prove one way or another. You follow? Yep. But it's just one more area for business owners to beware, right? I mean, you got to be on your toes as a business owner. So, you know, one of the things we've done here, and I've just tried to take a real balanced approach through this whole thing, not gotten too high, not gotten too low. You know, I think there's kind of ditches on both sides of the road, just personally with this. You know, some people have just, I think fear has just totally gripped them, and they're, you know, they haven't left their home type thing. And then, you know, don't go to Walmart and lick the shopping cart, right? Exactly. So, you know, so you got to find that balance. One of the things we're doing is we're rotating. We're trying to bring people back on kind of a rotation, so the team can kind of start getting back, start seeing each other, but not, you know, we've got 17 on our team, not having all 17 of us here at one time. So I think as business owners, it's certainly important to be thinking about those things and having all those, you know, just basics, you know, hand sanitizer, washing, recommending 6 feet apart, you know, recommending and saying, look, like I've got a zero tolerance policy in the sense of if you're sick at any level or you have a fever, you need to let us know and you're not coming in. Period. Yeah, exactly. Until you get tested, right? That should be common sense, I would hope, but you know, don't assume. You got to as a business owner, you got to spell those things out.
That's right. All right, good stuff. Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance. Check them out, TampaBayInsurance.com, TampaBayInsurance.com, and, of course, our website, ConsumerQB.com, if you've got that bookmarked. And we would love to talk to you. Thanks so much, Doug. Appreciate you calling in, man.
Always good being with you, Brandon. If we can do anything for you guys, the listeners, just check us out online at TampaBayInsurance.com, like you said. So y'all have a blessed day.
Absolutely. Also, hit us up on the hotline. Text insurance to 813-670-7372. Just call or text 813-670-7372, and we'll get you right in touch with Doug and the rest of our 50-plus show partners with so many different areas of consumer advocate content and advice. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We want to help you win if you're buying, selling, or investing. We're a top 1% real estate team here in Tampa Bay. I'm a certified negotiation expert, and I actually teach negotiation and branding to other realtors in the area. My wife is certified in feng shui and interior design, so we would love to help you, and we've got a great team here in Tampa Bay, and we feature our real estate properties live on air on our syndicated show in 85 different markets here throughout Tampa Bay and beyond. Hot property here on Lake Tarpon. This is 520 George Street South in Tarpon Springs. This is on the water, lakefront, 2,500 acre lake right here in Tampa Bay. And you got wide open water views. When you look out your back door, you've got wide open water views. You also have your own private boat dock, covered private boat dock, mother-in-law suite. Great opportunity to own a waterfront property right here in Tampa Bay. $490,000 asking price for a beautiful waterfront property to live the Florida lifestyle at its best right here in Tampa Bay. We've got 12208 Four Oaks Road in Tampa. This is a development opportunity right here in Tampa. So attention builders, developers, 12208 Four Oaks Road in Tampa. This is a prime opportunity to develop here in Tampa Bay. 5 acres, MOL. Future land use is R9, so you've got 9 units per acre. Multifamily is going to be your highest and best use for the property. Possibly a mixed use as well, where you see some of that, commercial shops on the bottom, and you maybe build a residential up top. It's some opportunity there in Tampa Bay, and this is the heart of Tampa as well. Just east of Del Mabry, just west of Del Mabry, rather, and east of the Veterans Expressway, 12208 Four Oaks Road in Tampa. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And this segment is brought to you by our friends at Replenish IV Solutions. Say hello to Stephen and Lisa Gunnan over at Replenish IV Solutions. They do a great job. Now, this is going to replenish your immune system. We're talking about building up your immunity right now with everything going on, of course, with the Chinese coronavirus. You got Myers cocktail, vitamin infusion drips, and these are directly injected right into your bloodstream. Reach out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions, the science of nutritional balance. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you and take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got attorney Millie Athanason back in studio. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Absolutely a pleasure to have you in studio. We've been doing a lot of Zooms, a lot of phone calls, but I love it that you're in studio, and we are definitely happy to have you in studio.
Thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure. So you are an attorney. You do different areas of law.
I do.
And today you wanted to talk a little bit more about estate planning, was it?
Yes. I practice in the area, or my firm practices in the areas of personal injury, family law, and wills and estates. And today I thought I would talk a little bit about the estate planning aspect. A lot of people have been very concerned of late with everything happening and so many people passing away about, well, what am I going to do with my stuff? How do I get it out there? And what will happen if I don't have a will? I know a lot of people are going online and downloading these do-it-yourself forms. I'm not going to say that they're horrible, but I'm going to say that unless you speak to an attorney, you're not going to really understand the significance legally of what you're signing or what you're filling out. So I do recommend that. But however, I do recommend that you have a will. If you don't have a will in the state of Florida, your property and assets are going to pass via what's called intestate succession. And basically what that means is if you die intestate, you die without a will. So the law assumes in Florida how you would like to divvy up stuff if you don't have a will. So if you don't like this plan of distribution by the state of Florida, I certainly recommend that you do a will.
And it's going to cost you X amount of dollars right off the top, right? For court fees and different costs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you open or institute a probate action, you have to pay a filing fee. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way the clerk's office makes money. So right now, I believe the filing fee is roughly around $418 in that area. So yeah, it's expensive no matter how you slice it or dice it. With intestate succession, basically, if you have a surviving spouse, but you don't have any children, so it's just you and your wife, then if you died without a will, your spouse is going to get everything.
Okay.
And if you have children, then now, if the children are biologically yours or adopted by you, then if you have, those are called descendants. Well, descendants are basically children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So if you have children, though, that are either biologically related to you or you adopted them, and you have a spouse, then essentially the spouse would get half of your assets, and then the children would get the other half. If your spouse is already deceased at the time that you pass away, then 100% of that estate will go to the living descendants at the time of your death. If you have no spouse or no descendants, then it's going to go to your parents in equal shares. And then if your parents passed away, the estate's going to be split equally among your surviving siblings or their direct descendants. And then if none of the above, then what they're going to do is try to find your relatives, and half of it'll go to the maternal side of your relatives and half to the paternal side of your relatives. So people often ask, well, does that mean, my things will go to the state? Well, not necessarily, because as you can see, even with this plan set out by the legislature, there's still a lot of possibilities to try to get your assets distributed to relatives. But if they can't find your relatives, or, no one knows who they are, and they can't do anything to locate them, then yes, it can go to the state, and it's called your property being escheated, or it escheats to the state. It sounds like a 4-letter word, but it's not.
I remember in real estate school, they talked about think about it as a cheat. They kind of cheat you out of your estate, in a way.
Yes.
I wonder how hard they actually look and try to find people, or are they jumping on Facebook and social media to try to locate people now?
So yes, there's actually error finding services out there that attorneys can utilize. I mean, we could do our own search through our own mechanisms because we have programs to help us do that. But yes, there's actually error finding services that do even a deeper investigation when you're looking. So that's a great question.
Yeah. And if you just joined us, by the way, we're talking with attorney Millie Athanason here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, law office of Millie Athanason right here in Tampa Bay. Now, when you think about law as well, you've got the different wills, the trust, the advanced medical directives. I mean, we've done whole shows based on just the estate planning side and what can be done. It's just, to me, it's one of those things. It's one of those hard conversations to have with mom or grandma. Hey, what happens when you die? It's like one of those, but it's a necessary conversation. Have you acquired any tips over the years on how to subtly bring it up, or what might be a good kind of segue into that conversation?
I tend to be a more direct and blunt person.
Me too.
Yeah, that could be an occupational hazard. I'm not really sure. But I think it just needs to be brought up, and you need to be direct and say, mom or dad, it's not just what's going to happen to your stuff when you pass away, but what's going to happen to you if you're unable to make decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or that you can't self-caretake and you don't remember things. How are your bills going to be paid?
Yeah.
Who's going to make decisions over your health care? Do you want to be on life support? So there's a whole myriad of issues and topics that kind of fall under that whole umbrella of wills and estates and trusts and things like that. And, I do think, for example, with elderly people, especially now in the time of this pandemic, a healthcare directive is very, very important to have.
Yes.
What's going to happen if you do go in there and you become unconscious because you're on a ventilator and you can't make decisions for yourself? Who's going to make those decisions for you?
Yeah.
I was just listening on the news today that they were saying that 80% of the people that go on ventilators due to this pandemic wind up passing away. And I mean, that's a big number for that segment. Now, of all the people that are hospitalized, only 20% of the people that are hospitalized, they say, go on the ventilators. But if you're on a ventilator and let's just say you fall into a coma, you get sick, you don't know what's going on, somebody's got to make a medical decision for you. You need to designate somebody.
Who do you trust, right? I mean, that's really a trust right there. Who do you trust to be along bedside that, they're going to be impartial to the decision? Oh, well, hey, if I say yes, then I get this money or whatever, the situation might be. And the other thing too, if you think about it, a lot of seniors are, or even our parents, a lot of times are, they're on all these different drugs, pharmaceuticals. What do you take? What's the dosage? You need to know that. You need to have it saved somewhere, and particularly in a document, and have that in place. So a lot to consider. So more from Millie Athanason right here when we come back, and we're going to jump into our feel-good story of the day. Two young heroes save man from burning home, right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So stay with us. We're also going to have our lightning round, our feel-good story, and more right here on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. This segment is brought to you by Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brothers Easy Moving. and let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer QB Show. Local long-distance moves, packing, junk hauling, office moving, and more. Reach out to Brothers Easy Moving. Talk to them about the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got a couple of hot listings here. 4209 Preserve Place. This is in the Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs area. Great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You're surrounded by great golf courses in condo in Landsbrook. 2-bedroom split floor plan, offers plenty of privacy and spacious design right here in Tampa Bay. And there's also a room that could be utilized as a 3rd bedroom if desired at 4209 Preserve Place, Palm Harbor, in unit condo. Community pool, lakefront, waterfront view here in Tampa Bay. 3907 Carroll Pines is a property that's right in Tampa Bay. 3907 Carroll Pines Court, Tampa. This is a great opportunity to own a home right here in Tampa Bay. Spacious 2-bedroom, 2.5 home in Carrollwood, close to Raymond James Stadium, hospitals, malls, and Dale Mabry Highway, kind of right there at the intersection of Waters and Dale Mabry. And you can check out all of our real estate properties at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And every day we're going to tell you something positive here on our upbeat, positive show. Tell you something good.
Tell me something good.
All right, so 2 young men are being hailed as heroes in Marion, Indiana, after rescuing a man from his burning home. Trey Jones, 25, Marcus Harvey, 24, were in the neighborhood when they noticed the fire. Quote, "I smell like something's like smoke. Somebody's house is on fire," Jones said. The police in front of the yard, some of them were recording. The people were in front of the yard. Some people were recording. And, quote, "They basically tell us there's a guy inside the house," Harvey added. "We didn't know where he was. We just heard him screaming and everything. Then started to hearing him." Jones said, "I'm like, why are we standing here?" Jones and Harvey immediately sprung into action. They kicked down the front door. They go through the fire, smoke, and all that came through. Jones said, "It blew at me." And a little tunnel area where he could duck down and get underneath the smoke, and he could just hear him a lot more clear. It's like, "Here I come." And he, quote, "I picked him up, scooted him out of the house. When we got to the door, Marcus assisted me, grabbed me by my pants, and we dragged him out of here." That's when the firefighters came. And as we were coming out of the house, you can't see anything, but I could only sit there and tell you that if you believe in God, mysterious things will happen, Harvey said. He was there the whole time, showing us the way out. And the victim was 50-year-old Guy Tharleton, fell asleep while cooking dinner, and the fire believed to have started in the oven. And Tarleton's nephew said the uncle's now at home. His home had no smoke alarms, and the guy is now in critical condition at the hospital, but alive. So if you hear our show, if you've been listening, think about the advanced medical directives. Think about this will estate plan with that story right there, Millie.
Absolutely. Because something like that can happen, a freak accident, and you have nothing. And then everybody is scrambling around. Your family starts scrambling. And I honestly believe that without a will, a lot of times you have more family squabbles.
Yes.
Than if you do. And unfortunately, what I see a lot of the times is these relatives, they stop talking to each other altogether because they're fighting over the money or disposition of property and assets, because there is no will and everybody thinks they're entitled to this and entitled to that. So it really is a serious issue. And I think it's for sure necessary to have these documents in place.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of scenarios. The other takeaway from that is if your home is not properly equipped with fire, the smoke detectors, now you can have carbon monoxide detectors. You've got to take that serious, folks. You got to take that serious and get the batteries changed out. Make sure you're doing that because this gentleman almost died because of it if it wasn't for the 2 kids that busted through the door and went and saved him. So cool story there out of Marion, Indiana. But we're talking with attorney Millie Athanason here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. She does personal injury, family law, wills, estates, these advanced medical directives that we're talking about. And I think sometimes people say, oh, well, I'm trying to think from their perspective why they wouldn't. Okay, so it's a little bit of an awkward conversation. Number 2, okay, what's the cost? This has got to be really expensive, right? That's probably what they're thinking, but it's really not, right?
No. To do something such as a living will or a healthcare directive that you're speaking of, Those are not expensive documents to generate. And a lot of times you can get them for like less than $200 if just for those. The living will is a little bit different than the advanced healthcare directive. The advanced healthcare directive is more like a limited power of attorney that you're giving somebody for healthcare purposes. A living will is a document that says that if I have a terminal medical condition, I don't want to engage in life support if two physicians say that I'm terminal and there's basically no hope. So therein you designate someone to basically sign off to turn off the machines.
Right.
And that's a difficult conversation a lot of times to have. But if you recall that Terry Schiavo case that happened many years ago, that they went to court and battled for months while this lady was laying in a facility on life support.
Vegetative state, basically, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. And had this lady had a living will, it would have never gone to court. There would have been no questions asked.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into our lightning round. We're going to get some top tips, nuggets of advice, words of wisdom for you here.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds.
I majored in lightning rounds.
All right, here we go. So we're going to do top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom, Millie.
Well, I would say that you need to have conversations with your relatives about end of life planning and look at your options and at least talk to an attorney to see what the various options are.
Absolutely. Find out what the options are. Find out, if there's a free consultation involved, find out the information, because if you have the knowledge, then you have the potential power. And, sometimes people say knowledge is power. Well, it's not power unless you, execute and use it. So that's the key right there, is finding out, what are the options in this type of scenario, and just realizing that there's more to it than you think. And it's not easy to do online. So many times people think, oh, well, I'm just going to download the documents, fill it in like some kind of a crossword puzzle, and it's just not that easy. You can make mistakes that are costly mistakes as well.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, when you go online, they're not state specific a lot of times. So you may not be even getting the proper information.
Yep. So many people try to take that shortcut, do it on their own. Absolutely. All right. So today I'll talk about I call it the smiling effect. Did you know, did you know you're 31% smarter, especially we're talking about in that context of negotiation or persuasion and sales, you're 31% smarter if you're in a good mood, if you're smiling. It's called the smiling effect, right? So it's easier to get deals done. It's much easier to find common ground if you're smiling. And by the way, it works over the phone too. If you're on a phone conversation, you're smiling and you're having a quote unquote argument, it doesn't have to be thought of as an argument. It could be thought of a disagreement. It could be thought of multiple ways. And by the way, the counterpart isn't the enemy. That's, if you're negotiating, the counterpart is not an enemy. They are a counterpart. And that means you have to have them to come to a solid decision or some type of a remedy to the situation. So people want to do business with you more if you're in a good mood, if you're smiling, if you have that positive attitude, and your reputation is going to precede you in that regard. So think about it from that perspective. And now more than ever is the time for us to be collaborative. The time now more than ever coming out of this pandemic. We talked about the jobs that we added back. I think it was about 7 million jobs or so over the last couple of months added back. Here in Tampa Bay, we want to be that consumer advocate. We want to connect you with all the different partners, folks that we can help you with, put you in touch with and help you live a better life and avoid commission-based advice through this show. And now more than ever, we need to collaborate together and work together to do that. So we'd love to support you, support your team, your family, your goals, just by reaching out to our Consumer Advocate show here, 813-670-7372, and we'll put you in touch with our expert contributors, and also consumerqb.com. Check out consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors at consumerqb.com. All right, final words, Millie. We've got about a minute left.
Well, if you need any advice or you need help in discussing these matters with your relatives, by all means, please give me a call to come on in and talk about it, or have a Zoom meeting to talk about it. My number is 727-376-9100, or you can reach me at 1-833-ASK-MILLIE.
833-ASK-MILLIE.
Yes.
I like that one. They're going to remember that one, I think. All right, excellent. So, hey, another great show. I want to thank Millie, Attorney Millie Athanason, for coming in and helping us with that. And by the way, another quick update too is Governor DeSantis. He issued an executive order. The moratorium on foreclosures and evictions was set to expire, and now it has been pushed out to August. So that's another good kind of an update here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Lots of ways that you can be, a force for good in the community. Do something kind for one another. Donate some blood, donate some time, maybe swing a hammer for Habitat for Humanity. We're a big supporter of work done charities as well around here. So many ways you can get involved here with the Consumer Quarterback Show, all of our expert contributors. And by the way, if you would like to be in our show, we interview business owners every week on opportunities, salesmen and women that want to be on the show. We'll talk to you about that as well. Have a wonderful day and go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time.